Okay, I am Daniel McColgan, and this is my first attempt at recording this project. To be fair, this one was definitely took a while. It took about, I would say, 6 to 7 hours to do all 14 steps, albeit I abused Google to the nth degree. Anyway, I should get on to it. So, what I have to show is the Active Directory configuration. I have my two servers here. I have my folder, which organized everything. I already have them open. The main controller's over here. The second computer, I'm just opening it just so you can see that I, in fact, made it part of the domain, which I know I did. And I'm going to let that load a while. I'm going to say this now. They're all running on the minimum specs. So everything takes forever to load. Forever. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute for most actions. I have 6 servers here. Well, one server for... You get the point. You know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. For the most part, you do. I have an Active Directory domain server. I have a DHCP, a DNS, file and storage services. This is already set up as the domain controller, and I named it that to keep my sanity. Ignore the flickering. That's just the server stalling. Why did I do it on the lowest settings? There's cheap, and then there's just this. Oh my goodness. I'll resume the recording once it stops fussing. So this is the local server I had set up and used as the domain controller. This computer is part of the domain mccolgan.local, which I called it .local because that was what I was doing at the time. I don't know. I was following a guide for the most part. This one's also part of it, and I have the DHCP for the second server connected to the DHCP server, which is also the first server. I merged a lot of my servers into one server. It was not the greatest of ideas. I'm going to close that one because I don't need it anymore. Yeah. You saw the time in the corner. I believe in you. This is the performance monitor. It collects data on a specific event in a interval of 1 day, since that's just generally a good interval. And it is a performance counter. It's based on the whatchamacallit. Yeah, the system performance one. Alright. I'm gonna stop touching it and just close it before this darn server slows itself to a crawl any harder. This is using a DNS server, and it's basically an everything server. I know it's a bad idea from experience and generally. Why did I click that? Anyway, as I have to wait again for my server manager, I can just imagine the pain of trying to make a recording on this server. It just would not happen. Alright. Time to go to the users' computers. I did not install the OUs, or organizational units, users, and whatnot through PowerShell, simply because I just refuse to do that. I won't do that I won't use that method unless I have to. And thus I installed this instead to make my life easier and better for my sanity. So here's the domain. And here's corporate, the 4 groups with their users. I have them all disabled, and I have their passwords all the same, set to reset on next use. They're all disabled because why would I enable them? It's not going to be in use anytime soon. Those are the three groups: the corp users, finance, and IT. There's HR with Jasmine, IT with Darnell, Joe, and Mary. And I should probably show this, but here is the users in each groups. There's the 6 users. I also have them, I had to give them an email, so they're just Adaya, or however you say that word, just say Antonio. It's just Antonio at McCulkin.local. And then finance should have some members. Yes, it does. Everyone's disabled. AP and payroll. And then IT should have 3. Which, yep, they have 3. That's good. That's good. There we go. That's all that. I didn't even notice there was a computer zone. I am blinder than a bat. How did I not see the organizational unit for computers? Anyway, I should probably get to the group policy management before I never do it and never bother. Yep. It just loaded in the background, didn't it? I hate my life. Really? Okay. That has nothing in it. Well, nothing. It's just the one user. Here is the policies. I have one here linked to the domain. I don't know if I have to show if they're configured correctly. I personally don't want to go through that, because that will take about 5 to 10 minutes each, just from the load time alone. Yes, I did make... Oh my goodness. Wow. I never noticed just how slow this was until I started recording. It is linked to the McCulkin local domain, and there should be 2 in here. 1 there, 1 there. And where's my... Oh yeah, that's right, the password policy. That one was interesting. I didn't link it. I set a security filter instead to domain computers, since I didn't have an OU set for it. Well, it exists. I would have to make my own, but it wouldn't make sense to use it. Why use an OU when there's a built-in group for it? I can understand it when there's actual computers, but since there isn't at the moment, there was no reason to. But I will next time if there are, in fact, computers added. And then user modifications are set to finance and HR links. Everything's set to authenticated users. I'm not bothering. I enforced the links for just to make sure they get processed first and not overridden later. If you really want to see if they're actually modified correctly, I could show that, but we will be here for another 15-20 minutes on that loading time. That should be everything I have to show, besides the bonus assignments. What are you? The exact same thing, apparently. I could have sworn I just closed this. Let's see here. I already did. I don't believe I did Event Viewer. Let's show off that one. What did I do in Event Viewer? Honestly, in the time it would take for this to load, I could find out what I did. That's performance monitor. I shut that one off. That's just showing there's no errors. Ah, task scheduler. My bad. Oh boy, can't wait to add another snap in. I'm not joking. I've had to add about 30. So now that we've successfully entered the wrong section, not manage, tools. This is fun. Task scheduler. Alright, this should be the last thing I have to show, and then that's everything. Unless you wish to see the group policy options that were set under each group policy. I'm not against doing it. It will take a while for the pages to load. As the server continues to load, as I further contemplate. Alright, so after experiencing resource stalling for the 10th time in 2 minutes, this is the event I had to do. It checks, as the name says, system disk. Yeah, it checks on event, it'll log system, source, disk, event, ID 157. And what it actually does is it will open with a PowerShell command stating a notification that event 157, disk has occurred, or in system event 157 has occurred, with the title event 157 disk. Do I know what this does? Not terribly, but you can always put it into PowerShell. Actually, that wouldn't be bad to show that. Show what it does. Boop. And then after this, that should be everything to show. So yeah, I managed to link 2 servers together. I set one up as a domain controller. The names are all lazy, in my opinion, but it's whatever. Alright, that's everything to show. There's not much left to show at this point. Actually, there is nothing to show. Alright, get me out of this simulation, please.